we had Cam Robinson go down at practice today. He was injured. I'll break down what exactly happened with Cam Robinson and what the Texans did in response that might shock you unless you've been watching the program for the past couple of months, because I have been trying to tell y'all that this team is not in favor of one certain player. I'll tell you who that is in today's show, but make sure you hit that subscribe button for the latest Texans news and rumors all year long. We got you covered 365 days a year, off season, in season. We are the #1 Texans YouTube channel out there. Another reason why you got to hit that subscribe button, it's 100% free. We got live watch parties coming up, so don't miss out. Go down and hit that sub button. On today's show, we're going to be breaking down a lot of injury news, the latest reports coming out of Texans training camp, and something that I just have to point out because it is glaringly obvious what DeMeco Ryans and this coaching staff feels about one player in particular. First up, let's go to the injury news. Cam Robinson went down with an injury during team drills. He was able to get up, but he's favoring a lower leg injury. We don't have the exact details on that. Haven't gotten further injury reports on Cam Robinson, but we'll see if he'll practice the rest of the week and, first preseason game coming up later on this week. I don't think we were expecting the starters to play, but I think this is for sure where Cam Robinson will not be playing in this first preseason game. Now, after the Cam Robinson injury, you might wonder, what did the Texans do? What did the coaching staff do in response? Who did they put in? This coming from Aaron Wilson. Texans trainers examined left tackle Cam Robinson. His exit triggered an O-line shuffle of Ariante Ursary, the Texans rookie, stepping in for him at left tackle. Then Tytus Howard going to right tackle, bumping from right guard to right tackle. Juice Scruggs subbed in at guard, and then you had Jake Andrews and Laken Tomlinson in there at center and guard. And you might be wondering, what is the deal? Why are we moving Tytus Howard from right guard to right tackle instead of just putting the backup right tackle, Blake Fischer, in with the starting offensive line? It seems like this coaching staff has kind of showed its cards in multiple times throughout this training camp, not wanting to insert Blake Fischer with the starting unit. Now, he has gotten, some reps with the starters, but overall, I don't think he really has a chance to make this starting lineup by week 1. And I don't think this coaching staff views him as a starting option over guys like Juice Scruggs, Tytus Howard, and a couple other guys on this Texans roster. But I want to hear from you folks at home. Am I just being crazy? Am I being too hard on Blake Fischer? Because I've told you the reports all throughout, off-season training camp around the Texans' second-round pick last year. So let me know. Do you think Blake Fischer has a chance to start this season? Give me a yes, give me a no down in the comments section. I don't think he does. At this point, they're favoring rookies over him and Ariante Ursary, saying, hey, we'd rather have him at right tackle. And even when he's being moved from right tackle to left tackle with Cam Robinson injury, we still don't see Blake Fischer. It makes me think that he's in the doghouse, or at least he doesn't have the trust of this Texans coaching staff in Cole Popovich, in DeMeco Ryans, in new OC Nick Caley. I think, I don't think we could see that's the wrong depth chart, by the way. I don't think we'll see really Blake Fischer going in at right tackle at any point this season unless a couple injuries happen, because I've been telling y'all for the past couple months that this is the Texans offensive line. This will be the starting unit sans any injury. It was going to be Cam Robinson, Laken Tomlinson, Jake Andrews, or Jarrett Patterson. I'm leaning Jake Andrews, Tytus Howard, and Ariante Ursary. This is the same depth chart that I've had for the past couple months. But it's telling when you see a guy go down with injury, and before Blake Fischer steps with the first unit, you're having guys like Juice Scruggs. No shade against Juice Scruggs. He's a former second-round pick in his own right. He's a early-round pick, somebody who, was brought into play center, has gotten a lot of guard reps, and apparently looks halfway decent at that guard spot. But you're also seeing guys like Jaylon Thomas getting reps with the ones. Ed Ingram, who the Texans traded for a late-round pick to the Minnesota Vikings for this offseason, he's getting reps with the first team in today's practice before they look at a guy like Blake Fischer. Now, maybe he has something else. Maybe he has an injury. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I don't think so. I think this team just doesn't see the progression of Blake Fischer, and depending whether or not Cam Robinson is injured moving forward, the more reports we get, obviously, we'll break it down here. Another reason why you got to hit that subscribe button. But depending on whether or not Cam Robinson is ready week 1, I still don't know if we'll see Blake Fischer starting for this team, even if Robinson is out, because it seems like it's very clear. They like Ariante Ursary right now at this point in time more than they like Blake Fischer. And it looks like they kind of like some of these other guys in the background, in a Juice Scruggs, maybe a Jarrett Patterson, other guys to step up more than putting in Blake Fischer at right tackle at this moment. So that's my opinion. We'll obviously see what the Texans do moving forward throughout training camp. Maybe Fischer will get more starting reps with the ones tomorrow. Maybe later on this week. Maybe he'll prove himself in preseason. But as of right now, I'm just not seeing it. Now, coming up, I have more injury news to break down, plus updates from Texans training camp, their first practice in West Virginia. Mountain Mama. We'll break it all down. I'll tell you everything that I heard from Texans training camp. But first, deal alert. Woo, 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 woo. 25% off Texans jerseys. I'll repeat, 25% off Texans jerseys. All you got to do, use this code DORMS. It's a back-to-school deal they have with Fanatics only for today. So if you're watching this August 4th, the day that I'm putting this video out, this deal is only good for today. You got to go to chatsports.com/Texans jerseys and input that code DORMS for 25% off. Maybe the best deal, one of the best deals that you'll get if you're looking to get a Texans jersey right now before the season. It'll come in before the year. They have all shapes and sizes, all the colors you need. They have the battle red, they have the home blue, the Liberty white, they even have the H-Town alternate, and you can get them in all your favorite players right now. CJ Stroud, Joe Mixon, Nico Collins, all those guys. Stingley, Will Anderson. Get them right now. One more time, this link, chatsports.com/Texans jerseys, will send you right where you need for the Texans jerseys. But don't forget to put in the code DORMS for 25% off. Only valid for today. Now, let's get into some more injury news and some roster updates around your Houston Texans. Aaron Wilson, my guy, putting out some updates that were much needed over the weekend because we were all worried around Texans 6th-round pick Jaylon Reed, the safety. He injured his leg in practice, left practice. It was kind of like at a standstill for a little bit, but great news. He's expected to be out only a few weeks, and it's not a season-ending injury for Jaylon Reed as of right now, so it's looking good. Hopefully he'll be able to come back and make this Texans 53-man roster because all the reports before the injury were that he was looking fantastic during Texans practices. Also, signed over the weekend, I told you, with Keontae Hamilton being injured, the Texans brought in a international pathway program player so they could keep 91 guys on the roster. Thus, they also signed defensive lineman Marlon Davidson, was on the practice squad last year for the Tennessee Titans, 6'3", 303 pounds. So he was brought on to the active roster immediately was out there at practice, was Marlon Davidson. Also, these guys have not practiced. Tank Dell, Damian Pierce, Trent Brown, Joe Mixon, Kurt Heinisch, DeMeco Autry, Derek Barnett, Foley Futakasi, Jimmy Ward, and Elijah Hussey. So no really changes there from last week from the guys on the PUP list and who have not practiced, but a little bit of an update for a couple of these guys. Damian Pierce was getting work on the sideline, and Jonathan Alexander of the Houston Chronicle was out there and kind of highlighted that Damian Pierce was looking good in those off-the-field drills on his like on the side, getting his own work in, saying he was cutting really good, looked fast, looked good in those drills. So maybe we'll see the return of Damian Pierce coming up pretty soon. Still not practicing Christian Harris, but he was also getting some work there on the sideline. And I think I don't know if it's more imperative for Christian Harris or Damian Pierce to get back out there on the field. But I feel like for Christian Harris, a lot of these linebackers are looking good. EJ Speed got some interceptions. We'll talk about those later on whenever I break down the practice notes. And a couple other linebackers looking really good. Henry Toto, Nick Neiman as well has been looking good. Jake Hansen as well. So with the amount of linebackers that are really showing out at Texans training camp so far, I don't know where Christian Harris stands in terms of him making the 53-man roster or what they're going to do in terms of Christian Harris on this football team. So I want you to tell me down in the comment section, how safe do you think Christian Harris's roster spot is right now? 1, you think it is not safe at all. He is out of there. 10, he's 100% a lock to make this Texans roster. Let me know down in the comment section how you feel about Christian Harris coming back from injury. For me, it's a 5. I'm right there in the middle. He missed all of last year, came back, kind of re-aggravated that injury, was a, DNP in the playoffs up against the Chargers and the Chiefs. And we were all looking forward to the return of Harris County. We were all really pumped up after that 2023 playoff run where he picked off Joe Flacco in that Browns wild card game, looked really good in the playoffs towards the end of that year. We were like, oh, wow, Christian Harris, another year with DeMeco Ryans under his belt. Got injured last training camp, missed basically the entirety of last year. So I really want to see Christian Harris out there to prove himself because a lot of these linebackers are playing really well, and I don't know where he necessarily fits in because they're going to need some of these guys for special teams. And is Christian Harris going to be as good as some of these other guys in terms of, on punt, on kickoff? That is yet to be seen because we have not yet seen him out there on the practice field this offseason. Okay, let's go through the practice notes of today. Obviously, we kind of broke down the injury earlier. It was an O-line shuffle. Different guys getting in after that Cam Robinson injury. As I mentioned, they rotated guys like Juice Scruggs, Jaylon Thomas, Ed Ingram, all got their time to shine with the first-team offense at different points during this practice. Also, the defense continues to dominate. It just continues to be overwhelming. C.J. Stroud, these other quarterbacks don't have any time. The offensive line is holding up here and there, but overall getting worked by guys like Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter, even guys on the interior are making plays. Tim Settle, Sheldon Rankins both got sacks in today's practice. The defense and even the secondary, continues to look great. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got a pick six. There was multiple pick sixes in today's practice. A good note on the offense, I do think a lot of work in the tight ends on these, team drills in specific, whenever they're like 7-on-7, 11-on-11, I think they're looking a lot at guys like a Brevin Jordan, Dalton Schultz, a lot of glowing reports around him during training camp so far, and Cade Stover. So a lot of work out of the tight ends. We thought that maybe the tight ends would have a little, place to shine in this new Nick Caley offense. A tight end coach with the Rams, a tight end coach with the New England Patriots, and we also know that he wants to get the ball out of Stroud's hands quicker. And what does that mean? Hot routes to guys in the slot, and also the tight ends there. They're the safety blanket guys. That's what Tom Brady did great there in New England. He was able to get the ball out of his hands really quickly to his guys on the outside and to his tight ends. That's what we're seeing with this Texans offense during training camp. I am a little worried about the run game, though. Nick Chubb has been taking the RB1 reps, and like I said, it's just practice. We don't really see, but the defense is kind of just all over the place swarming these run games. We're seeing a couple good gains here and there, but for the most part, all the reports that I'm seeing back are that the Texans' run game has been stuffed by the linebackers, and namely Azeez Al-Shire. He has been awesome in stopping the run. Same with the edges. They've been not only getting after the passer, but also setting the edge of the run game. Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter, they have been out of this world so far during training camp. Great news for this Texans defense, but kind of hard to evaluate once again, this Texans offense, I can't really evaluate it as much until we go up against other competition because this defense has just been suffocating to this Texans offense during training camp so far. And I will address the elephant in the room. I'm not going to just sweep it under the rug. We know a lot of picks have been thrown at camp. C.J. Stroud has thrown a lot of interceptions during, 7-on-7, 11-on-11 team periods. I take somewhat of stock in that, but also, as I've mentioned, this Texans offense, they're implementing a new system. There's a lot of new guys. Really, we look back at the starters from last year, right? Week 1 starters up against the Indianapolis Colts. How many of those guys are starting week 1 of this year? Joe Mixon is a maybe. You have C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Tytus Howard. That's really it, right? Dalton Schultz, that's 4 out of the 11 guys on your offense are returning from last year. You have so many moving parts that I'm not going to put it all on C.J. Stroud. It's been all the quarterbacks. Davis Mills has thrown a lot of picks. Graham Mertz has thrown a lot of picks as well. These guys, they're not immune to it. The defense has been getting after the offense, and that's a good thing for this Texans defense. As I've mentioned, looks like a top 5 unit that we'll have down here in Houston, but it's very, very, frustrating kind of seeing this offense and C.J. Stroud getting picked off left and right. And like I said, I'm not going to put it all on Stroud because there are a lot of moving parts, and half the time he's just trying to get a ball up so that a play is made. He might, in a normal game, throw it out of bounds or scramble and, try to pick up 1 or 2 yards, but it's practice. It's training camp. He's trying to get his wide receivers reps. He's trying to throw the ball and get it out there. So maybe some of those balls that he threw in practice or has been throwing in practice won't be actual balls that he'll throw in games, but he's just trying to get a rep in with throwing the football. Maybe a little bit of the excuse that I'm making for C.J. Stroud, but I'm still hopeful that him and this offense will turn around once we see them up against other competition. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open if you want to chop it up around Texans football, the NFL, anything, any Houston sports. I got you covered. And if you made it to the end of the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button for the #1 Texans channel here on YouTube. My promise to you is this. Hit that subscribe button. Give me 1 week. If you don't like it in a week, all good. You can hit that unsubscribe button, no skin off my back. But let me prove to you why this is the #1 Texans channel here on YouTube.